Thank you for joining us for this press conference today. Today we're gathered here to discuss the potential impacts of the Mountain Valley Pipeline on our drinking water sources. There are many sides to the pipeline conversation, but today we are here to say, don't touch our drinking water. Amen. Woo! We have been calling for additional time for public comment, but too much new science has been brought to my attention about the impacts on our drinking water sources. The ask today is clearly for the Department of Environmental Quality and the Commonwealth of Virginia to immediately suspend any comment period and all public hearings until we have all of the necessary information for the public to comment on and to hold hearings on. We have been led to believe that much of the information relating to the impact on our water supplies would be outlined in the environmental impact statement, the final statement issued at the end of June. This is in fact not the case. Just last week, the story broke that residents in Chester, Pennsylvania are dealing with contaminated water sources due to their local pipeline project. We cannot let this happen here in Virginia. We love our beautiful community too much for it to be compromised. So today we say, don't touch our drinking water. The four major sources of drinking water which can potentially be impacted by this project are the Western Virginia Water Authority's Spring Hollow water reservoir, the direct Roanoke River source for the City of Salem water treatment plant, as the City of Salem pulls their water directly out of the Roanoke River. Number 3, thousands of private ground water wells all across Southwest Virginia. And number 4, and one that most people don't realize, is that both the Western Virginia Water Authority and the City of Salem, as well as others, as reserves, have large public groundwater wells. On the sheet that we've distributed, we have a variety of information that we want to make sure that the public knows about the potential impact of the Mountain Valley Pipeline, as it is a threat to our drinking water sources. I mentioned earlier, number 1, what happened in Chester, Pennsylvania. A number of groundwater wells have been contaminated with bacteria and other sediments. Number 2, this is the largest project ever brought to Virginia. Number 3, there are over 100 crossings. The Mountain Valley Pipeline crosses this Roanoke River and its tributaries, both in the North and South Fork, over 100 times. I'm going to step away from the podium because I want to explain this very simple map. There's the North Fork of the Roanoke River and then the South Fork of the Roanoke River. These two forks come out from valleys, and there's a confluence right here, just miles from this spot. This confluence is about the area where the pipeline is going to be crossing over the Roanoke River, and just a few miles away from the Spring Hollow water reservoir that the Western Virginia Water Authority operates. And of course, just a few miles away from Salem. Over 100 times, this pipeline will cross over, as I mentioned earlier, the Roanoke River, the North and South Fork, and all of the tributaries that feed into the Roanoke River. Number 4, the Virginia Department of Health has clearly indicated that it recommends that there be surveys conducted, what they call sanitary surveys conducted, on 1,000 feet on either side of the pipeline to determine what water sources could be potentially impacted. We believe that this has not been done, and is something that needs to be done before a comment period or public hearings are to be held. Number 5, the blasting that is likely to occur in this karst topography could have a significant impact on water flows and water quality. Number 6, and here to talk about rural water, as rural residents have little recourse if their water is contaminated. is Tammy Belinsky. She's going to share some information with us about what would happen, for example, if the residents on Bent Mountain had their water compromised.
Thank you, Delegate Rasoul. The Bent Mountain community is among those for whom Delegate Rasoul is asking the Commonwealth today to do its job. The MVP threatens supplies for residents on Bent Mountain and over the county line in Floyd. Within a 6-mile range, the MVP would cross Bottom Creek and its tributaries over 30 times, and wetlands that support the water systems over 40 times within 6 miles. Construction through wetlands will drain wetlands like a French drain. Excavation on this scale, on our creek banks, over 30 times, will devastate our streams, changing them forever. Imagine this, right here, in this little tributary to the Roanoke River. That's what we're facing over 30 times on Bent Mountain. The bedrock on the mountain is very near the surface, which will require blasting, the concussions from which can change the course and quality of our shallow water supplies. There are no means to replace our water supplies on the mountain. We don't have a public water supply nearby like they do in Chester County, Pennsylvania. The water supply for every household and every business on Bent Mountain is at risk, and we understand that. We have great respect for the unique water system on top of the mountain that supports our community. 15 years ago, the community worked hard to protect Bottom Creek with a very special water quality designation, which should be recognized by the Virginia Department of Environmental Quality in this 401 certification process. It took the Commonwealth 10 years to make the decision to protect Bottom Creek. The DEQ has already decided to destroy it and given us only 45 days to analyze all the information on this entire pipeline through Virginia and provide comments. It's unacceptable. The DEQ has the authority and the duty to ensure the water quality is protected. Packaged like this, water is more expensive than fuel, and we are putting our own water security at risk for a very false sense of energy security. It's irresponsible. It's reckless. Thank you, Delegate Rasoul, for stepping up to the plate for our drinking water.
Yes.
Thank you, Tammy, for telling us a little bit about how this would specifically impact a rural community and many others around Southwest Virginia. The sedimentation is something that actually not only we don't have a good idea as to what the impacts are going to be, and that sedimentation will carry all kinds of contaminants. We've already heard from the Western Virginia Water Authority that, of course, the total maximum daily limit of sedimentation in the river frequently reaches the maximum allowable amount by the federal government. And so it's very obvious to me and to others that if we put in this pipeline, what's going to happen to the sedimentation load on a regular basis to the Roanoke River and the shallow, the Spring Hollow Reservoir as a source for it. I've already mentioned the karst topography is something that's very challenging, that we don't really have a great understanding of how water flows. We have an unfortunate incident in 2015 just down the road with the Red Sulphur Spring public water supply being contaminated by a spill on a pipeline corridor. And that was over a half-mile away from the pipeline corridor. The hydrostatic testing, they're going to have to ensure that the pipeline, once it's put in, is stable. And to do that, there's testing that will need to be done. Just with that testing will unfortunately cause some unintended consequences. A variety of chemicals, herbicides used to keep up with the pipeline route, and the metals that are going to be exposed are going to seep into our water supply. And the EPA in 2012 clearly indicated every single pipeline leaks. And 10%, per the EPA, 10% of methane emissions in the United States come from leaky pipelines. That's a whopping amount. And that methane carries contaminants, and those contaminants, of course, are going to get into our groundwater. And here to talk with us, we're very lucky to have a local business that is concerned about the impact of the Mountain Valley Pipeline on our water supply, because they frequently are using the water to make some cheerful alcoholic beverages that you all consume. Parkway Brewing, I'd like to bring Mike up to talk a little bit about the potential impact maybe on their business and other businesses like it.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning. Water's life. The fact is, water is beer also. So for us, it hits home. 98% of our product is the water. We didn't come here and build this brewery because we got some special grant. We picked the water source. The water source is what makes our beer our beer. How many of you like our beer? A lot, right? Okay, so the thing is that potentially for 4 to 5 years, when their study says sedimentation will subside, our beer may not be the same one. Now, how does that affect us economically? It's a big deal. You know, we built a business based on a product and the consistency of the product. So if you change what our source water is, it's difficult to change that in our product and not have it make an effect. You know, I have 30 people that work for me, and we're growing. So this doesn't just affect everyday people. It affects us. I mean, yes, we are everyday people. Everyday people are who it does affect the most. But from an economic standpoint, we're a growing brewery. We're looking to expand. We're going to other states. We're bringing Virginia to other places. If we can't do that consistently, then we fail. If we fail, then the next brewery fails. And we stop this economic growth of breweries in this area. You know, we started out in 2012 with basically just one other brewery. I think there are 9 now in the area, and growing still. And there's a reason we come here. We like the water. The water tastes good. The water makes great beer. The water allows us to hire new people and grow the economic impact of our breweries in this area. The Chutes and Ballast Point didn't come here because the water sucked. They came here because the water's good and the quality of life is good. So do we let this impact us to the point where these people who have put millions of dollars into our economy make a second choice about what they're doing? I think it's irresponsible. I can get into all the other sides of it too, but the fact is water is life, water is beer. Thank you, Delegate, for having us come over and talk. We want to express what we think about things, you know, and don't mess with my water. I like my beer, don't mess with my water.
Don't mess with our water, says Mike. Let's give him a big round of applause. The last 2 points, and then I'll get into clearly what the ask is the authority that we have. So when someone says we don't have, as a Commonwealth, the authority to do something, I want you to know these 2 points. Number 1, the Clean Water Act clearly gives the Commonwealth broad authority to do what it needs to do to protect our water. And number 2, our final point here is, just like New York, New Jersey, and Connecticut, who have denied similar water permits because of the potential crossing, Virginia can deny. The Virginia State Water Board, under Title IX of Virginia Code, which I've specifically put that piece of the code right here for your handy reference at the bottom of the document, clearly states that the Water Control Board can deny permits if the project will impair the beneficial uses of state waters. So we can do something, ladies and gentlemen, and what we're asking right now is for the Department of Environmental Quality and the Commonwealth of Virginia to suspend the comment period and all public hearings until the necessary information to consider the impacts to groundwater supplies is gathered as recommended by the Virginia Department of Health and other key stakeholders. This should include these four pieces. Number one, a thorough study of the total sediment, and this is upland and downstream, total sediment that's going to be released into the Roanoke River, all of its tributaries, both the North and South Fork, including, of course, the understanding of what's going to happen with those 100+ crossings. Number two, a supplemental review of the upland impacts to the Roanoke River Basin. Number three, a sanitary survey, as I mentioned before, which is recommended by the Virginia Department of Health. 1,000 feet on either side of the pipeline be performed to ensure all water resources are protected. And lastly, we need, especially given what happened in 2015 here locally with the spill, and that spill showed up half a mile away because of the karst topography, we need significant additional dye testing to trace water flows throughout the potential pipeline's route. So today we are gathered here with a number of stakeholders who have worked tirelessly to get the Commonwealth of Virginia to understand the potential impacts of this pipeline project. And clearly today we're here to say, don't touch our drinking water. Thank you all so much for coming.
Amen. See what he's doing, what he just proposed. Puts it past the November election.